Mike's Daily Podcast.
I did find out something yesterday that I was wrong. In a previous podcast, I had said that maybe what caused the radioactive excrement out of my dog, Basil the Boxer, was that possibly it was electrolytes, because I had to give him Pedialyte because he had not eaten for almost a day. So
Mike's Daily Podcast.
I was wrong in that assumption.
Wrong.
It was actually Bouillon Cubes.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Bouillon. Actually, Bouillon Cubes, because my lovely lady friend, she wanted my dog Basil the Boxer's pain for not eating and hunger to end. And so what she did was she gave him some rice cooked with chicken broth. And that is how the Bouillon Cube got used.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Poff. That's about what I wanted to tell you about, because what happened
Mike's
was the Bouillon Cube
Daily
caused the poop
Podcast
to glow.
Yeah!
I'm not kidding you. This is the strangest thing I've ever seen. So I didn't know that's what Bouillon Cubes can do to you. And why nobody uses Bouillon Cubes anymore. They all use chicken broth that you can get at the store that's like the real thing. Who knows what the hell is in that stuff? Bouillon Cubes. So I cut down branches off of a tree yesterday. This tree has been growing next to my house, and the branches were starting to touch my house. And when it was windy earlier this week, they were scraping the side of the house, and I was like, that's not a good thing. So I chopped them down yesterday with my Paul Bunyan arms, and it was great because my dog was watching me, Basil the Boxer. Like, what is going on? What's this? Very demanding. He was asking me questions. What's the meaning? And then I was done. It was really quick. It was nothing like what I had to go through last October cleaning up the house, the front yard, because somebody ratted me out. They walked past the house and went, oh, I don't like the way that looks. I'm going to call up the planning, some organization I didn't even know existed that falls under the Alameda County. There are so many things that fall under Alameda.
And here's today's podcast picture.
Alameda County. These organizations that I'm like, what? And my property tax that goes up every year, even though it's not supposed to, because wasn't there something called frickin' Prop 13? Is that it? Yeah. Well, no, they get to add all these little extra fees on top of it. The taxes stay the same, but the rest of the crap... Oh, I know, I'm curmudgeon-y and whining and laughing and crying and life. How about this cute picture with Basil the Boxer and I? All right, that'll work. This was taken earlier this week. He's crossing his legs. So, yeah, because when he sits, he actually has to sit like a human, because he can't do he can't bend the knees quite like he used to. So, you can see that picture at MIKEs-DAILY-PODCAST.com. It's cute. But he had a fun time yesterday. We were walking along, saw some old dogs that he used to know we haven't seen in a while. And this one. That will be the picture. Yay. Well, I'm just overtook by this picture. In this picture, there is a fan, an old fan that my ex-wife's uncle, kind of, well, it's an aunt of hers that got remarried. So whatever you call an uncle, that's not like the uncle that I guess he's still an uncle. Second time uncle, not a step uncle, maybe a carbuncle. This aunt is basically a hoarder, but not quite, because she's able to sell a lot of stuff on eBay. But there is a room in their very big house that they live near Sacramento where you can have big houses still, and, you know, you can live pretty well despite having a big house and living in California. It's a little bit cheaper over there. And so they got this whole room that's completely... Oh, Greta Bronner colored her hair. Just thought that should be noted watching C-SPAN this morning as they discuss the government shutdown. I'm not talking about it. I'm not talking about it because you're sick of it, I know. And so this the carbuncle took one of the fans that this hoarder ant got, and it wasn't working, and he fixed it because he's brilliant, and he knows somehow old 1960s technology. He figured out the wiring, and he got this fan to work, and he gave it to me. That's the point. He gave me this fan, and I turned it on, and all of a sudden I'm starting to smell like a burning smoke thing, and I turned it off. I said, okay, no, maybe that's not supposed to be on. But I keep the fan around because, well, it looks cool. Hey, that was a wonderful podcast today, wasn't it? Where I talked about stuff like that. And do you remember Vanessa Bayer's impression of Miley Cyrus where she'd go, and stuff like that? And all kinds of and I love my daddy and stuff like that. New York lost over 48,000 people in 2019. They got the heck out. It was the biggest city. It was the biggest amount of people, the largest amount of people to leave a city in 2018 rather, last year. So mass exodus of people leaving New York. I would hazard a guess that sort of happens a lot. And here's something you probably didn't know. Sage. It's the next big thing. Walmart is selling like sage that you could find in California. We got sage bushes, well, in the Northern California anyway. These sage bushes are growing everywhere. Walmart will charge you $17 for some sage. $17. But people are going nuts about sage. They put it in, I think I've had it in food. I can't remember what I had it in. I know I've had rosemary. You put that in the focaccia. Focaccia, what you talking? Forget about it. Focaccia, that's all the Italian I know. And today is that show with the gangsters, Sopranos, where they the baritones. Ha! Somehow that show has lived on in the memories of so many people. It was must-see TV on Sunday evenings on HBO for, I think, the early O's, particularly. I remember that. And people are remembering it today because today's the 20-year anniversary, and they probably come out with some stupid box set or made whatever they do nowadays, major download, something. But that show, I watched a couple episodes. You might have loved it. You might have embraced it. The thing I really liked about the show was David Chase. David Chase, who created it. David Chase worked on Exposure in the last couple seasons. In fact, when Rob Morrow... Is it Robert? It's Rob Morrow, isn't it? He was the one who played Dr. Fleischman on the show. When he went back to New York and left the show, because Rob was like, I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm a big star. I need to go on and do a show like 10 years from now called Numbers, which he did. And that was like successful, though nobody remembers that show anymore. Hey, it had the guy from Taxi in it. And the kid from 10 Things I Hate About You. The annoying one. Numbers. Oh, hey, and we'll make the E into a 3. Woo! Must-see TV. No, it wasn't. But Northern Exposure was. And, oh yeah, both Northern Exposure and Numbers were on CBS. So that guy, that actor, Rob Morrow... I know I'm saying that name wrong. At any rate, he was on both shows. And so he must have a thing with CBS. I noticed some actors keep recurring on CBS. Maybe they signed a contract or something. I don't know how that all works. Show business is not my thing, but I am kind of in it anyway. So what happened on Northern Exposure after Dr. Fleischman left, they brought in a Dr. Capra, an Italian doctor who was married to Terry Polo, the blonde woman from Meet the Fockers, Meet the Family, the blonde, very, very vanilla-y, white girl, Terry Polo. And she was the wife. So, in this, what they then redesigned Northern Exposure to be, because it's a show that takes place in Alaska. So you got a guy from New York who moves to Alaska and is like, what the heck? So I think Dr. Capra and Terry Polo came from California, Los Angeles, maybe San Francisco. And they move up to Alaska and they're, oh, fish out of water. Whoa, this is weird. Look, Eskimos. Oh my gosh, there's all this land and moose and I don't know what to do. So all of a sudden, hey, it's Joel. All of a sudden, out in the Joel just showed up. Thank you for showing up here at Cafe Anyway. So what ended up happening was, okay, to sum this all up, David Chase took over the show in those days of Northern Exposure, and he brought in this Italian element that was a precursor to Sopranos. And there was sort of a meeting of the gangs, the Italian mobs or whatever, that in the little town of Alaska. And apparently they had a really nice restaurant. And so it's an interesting part of... And I remember Terry Polo getting mad at her husband, the Italian husband, because he was getting, like, uber Italian, like, throwing all these... Like, all of a sudden this accent appeared out of nowhere that he never had before. That was pretty funny. Hey, we didn't say hi to the people yet at Cafe Anyway. Let's do that real quick because we are running out of time. Oh, and the Xfinity, your Comcast bill is due today, probably, just so you know. Thought I'd share that little bit of news. Hello, my goodness, it's Madame Rootabega, and I enjoy being here on the Cafe Anyway podcast. Woo. That's not the name of the podcast, but thanks anyway.
And this is Valentino, the banking attendant. I like The Sopranos Day. Oh, look who just drove up.
And this is Bison Bentley. Do you know that? Great show. Okay.
Wow.
Thank you. Let's wrap up the show. Episode 1782, 1782. Next show, it'll be the wonderful Chely Shoehart, Floyd the Floorman, and John Deere, the engineer.
Mike's Daily Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at MIKEs-DAILY-PODCAST.com. Email Mike now at MIKES-DAILY-PODCAST@gmail.com. See you tomorrow. Bye!